Let's start by looking into Squid Game Season 1. Episode 1, titled Red Light, Green Light. The episode starts with Seong Gi-hun telling a story from his childhood. Back in the 1980s, he and his best friend Cho Sang-woo used to play a game called Squid Game. Gi-hun won and shouted victory. It was a time when life was simple and carefree. Fast forward to June 8, 2020, Gi-hun is now a divorced father living in Seoul. He has a lot of debt because he lost his job at a car factory. His restaurant and snack shop failed, and he has a gambling problem. He lives with his elderly mother and struggles to take care of his daughter, Ga-young, who is having a birthday. His mother gives him money to buy Ga-young a gift and dinner, but Gi-hun steals her money and gambles it away. After winning $4.5 million, he calls Ga-young to ask what she wants for her birthday. However, he gets into trouble with loan sharks and loses the money to a pickpocket, Kang Se-byuk, a North Korean defector. Gi-hun only has a little money left, so he takes Ga-young out for a simple birthday dinner of street food. He feels bad because he can't give her as much as her stepfather did, even though she reassures him that she prefers the street food. At the train station, Gi-hun meets a mysterious salesman who offers him a chance to play a game called Dakji. Each time they lose, they must give the other $100,000. But since Gi-hun has no money, the salesman slaps him every time he loses. After being slapped many times, Gi-hun finally wins $100,000, and the salesman gives him the money along with a strange business card. The salesman tells Gi-hun that if he wants to play bigger games with bigger prizes, he can call the number on the card. The salesman also reveals that he knows about Gi-hun's debts, which shocks him. Gi-hun goes home feeling excited about his winnings. He gives the money back to his mother and pays her back what he took. His mother tells him that Ga-young's stepfather has a job offer in the United States and that Gi-hun needs to show he can financially support his daughter. That night, Gi-hun looks at photos of Ga-young and decides he wants to bring her back. He calls the number on the business card. The person on the other end asks for his name and birthday, then gives him an address to go to. Gi-hun arrives at the address where a van pulls up. The driver, wearing a pink jumpsuit, asks for a password. Gi-hun says red light, green light. Then the driver opens the van door for him. Gi-hun gets inside and notices everyone else is asleep. The driver releases sleep gas, and Gi-hun falls asleep. When Gi-hun wakes up, he finds himself in a large dormitory with other players. Everyone is wearing green tracksuits with numbers on them. The players are monitored by masked guards. Gi-hun meets player 001, an old man named Oh-il-nam, who tells Gi-hun he has a brain tumor and doesn't have much time left. A fight breaks out between Se-byuk and Jang Deok-soo, a gangster, and her former mentor. Gi-hun recognizes Se-byuk as the pickpocket who stole from him earlier. Tensions rise, and a guard enters to stop the fight. A manager in a pink jumpsuit then enters and explains the rules. The players will play 6 games, and the winner gets a huge cash prize. They are told to sign a consent form agreeing to play the games. The first game is red light, green light. Players must cross the finish line, but can only move when the doll's head is turned away. If they move when the doll's head turns, they will be eliminated. As the game starts, panic sets in when players realize they will be shot if they lose. Several players are killed, and Gi-hun freezes in fear. He follows Sang-woo's advice to hide behind other players to avoid being detected. Eventually, players start to move forward, but some are eliminated for not being careful. Gi-hun makes it across the finish line just in time with the help of Ali, who grabs him when he trips over a corpse. The remaining players who don't finish in time are eliminated. The first game ends, and the players are left shaken. They are on a secluded island, where they must face more deadly challenges ahead. Starting off on Squid Game Season 1, Episode 2, titled Hell, the episode begins with the guards disposing of the bodies of the players who had been eliminated. One of the coffins starts to shake as a player who was still alive tries to climb out. The guards quickly notice and seal the coffin shut, preventing the player from escaping. After the first game, all the surviving contestants are brought back to the dormitory. The guards enter and congratulate the players for completing the first game. saying that 255 players were eliminated. Some players, including Han Minyo, player 212, begged to be released from the games, promising to pay off their debts. A guard explains that the purpose of the games is not to punish the players for their debts, but to offer them a second chance. The players are reminded that those who refuse to continue will be removed from the game. Cho Sang-woo suggests they use the third clause of the consent form, which allows the game to be stopped if the majority votes to leave. The guards agree to this, but first they show the prize money. They explain that each contestant is worth $100 million, and the total prize pot will be $45.6 billion. The guards then set up a voting machine with two buttons, a circle to continue and an X to leave. If they choose to leave, they will not receive any of the prize money. Voting is done in reverse order, so Seong Gi-hun, player 456, is the first to vote and chooses X to leave. Player 453, an elderly woman, initially hesitates, but after thinking about the money, chooses O to stay, surprising Gi-hun. The votes continue, and the count remains close. Sang-woo votes O, and Gi-hun is shocked to see his friend choose the prize money over his own life. Some players, like Minyo, vote O, while others vote X. No Sang-hun voices his strong opinion against continuing the games, saying it's madness. Minyo asks if leaving will really change anything, pointing out that life outside is difficult, and Min-tae agrees, saying stopping the games would just benefit the players who have already passed away. Sang-hun and Min-tae argue, and the guards step in, reminding everyone that the democratic voting process must continue. Voting continues, with more players choosing O to stay, and eventually it's down to the last voter, player 01 O Il-nam. Gi-hun recalls Il-nam's earlier words about his brain tumor, worrying about the elderly man's decision. Il-nam finally votes X, ending the vote with 100 votes to continue and 101 votes to leave. The majority has chosen to end the game, and the players who voted to leave are happy to go home, while those who chose to stay are disappointed that they won't receive the prize money. Min-tae argues that the players who chose X should be allowed to leave, while those who chose O should stay and continue. Minyo suggests they let them continue, and the manager regrets having to say goodbye in this way. He tells the players that if the majority decides to return, the game will resume, and he bids them farewell for now. The players are returned to the mainland that night in pairs, with the promise that if the majority wants to continue the game, it will restart after a few days. Gi-hun is dropped off with Se-byok, the pickpocket who stole his money. Sang-woo is dropped off with Ali, the immigrant who saved Gi-hun in the first game. Ali asks Sang-woo if he can borrow his phone to make a call. Sang-woo agrees, but when he tries to use his phone, it's dead. He goes with Ali to buy a charger, and while charging his phone, Sang-woo sees a flood of messages from authorities demanding payment for his debts. Sang-woo gives Ali some money for a bus ride back home, and Ali thanks him profusely. Gi-hun tries to report the game to the police, but the officers dismiss him, thinking he is drunk or lying. He gives them the business card, but when one officer calls the number, a woman answers and calls him a pervert before hanging up. Gi-hun, believing it was a mistake, tries the number again, but the line is now disconnected. Detective Hwang Jun-ho overhears the conversation and begins to investigate further. He finds a business card in his brother's room, which leads him to suspect that Gi-hun's story might be true. Gi-hun, unable to find his mother, searches for her on the streets and runs into Sang-woo, who avoids meeting his mother. Gi-hun tells him that with his financial knowledge, he could help Sang-woo pay off his $650 million debt. Sang-woo confesses that his debts total $6 billion due to bad investments, and that he has put his mother's store and home up as collateral. Gi-hun rushes to the hospital, but his mother refuses treatment, reminding him that he cancelled their health insurance and drained their savings for his gambling habit. Feeling guilty, Gi-hun vows to make things right and find a way to get the money. Se-byok visits her little brother Cheol at an orphanage, where he complains that the other children pick on him, calling him abandoned. Se-byuk promises him she will get him out of the orphanage and rescue their mother from North Korea. She goes to visit the broker she hired, only to find that he has run off with her money.
한 번 더 나 속이면 다음엔 무조건 네
Ali returns to the factory where he works and confronts his boss about his unpaid wages, which he hasn't received in 6 months. His boss refuses to pay him, but Ali sees him putting an envelope of cash into his pocket. When Ali keeps asking for the money, his boss gets angry and pushes him. In the struggle, Ali accidentally knocks his boss into a machine, injuring him. Ali grabs the envelope of cash and runs away. Sang-woo lies to his mother on the phone, saying he's on a business trip. Later, 2 police officers visit her and inform her that Sang-woo is wanted for embezzlement and fraud, leaving her shocked and upset. Meanwhile, Sang-woo, in despair, tries to take his own life by inhaling charcoal fumes in his bathtub. He's interrupted by a knock on the door and finds another business card from the game, with instructions on when and where his pickup will be. Ali returns home covered in blood, surprising his wife, who asks about the money. Ali tells her to buy tickets for a flight back to Pakistan for her and their child, promising he will join them later. Gi-hun, desperate to save his mother, tries asking his ex-wife for help. However, she and her husband are also struggling financially. Gi-hun and his ex-wife argue, and her husband offers to give him money if he agrees to stop seeing Ga-young. Gi-hun refuses the offer and storms off. On his way home, he bumps into Junho, who questions him about the games. Junho insists he needs Gi-hun's help to find his missing brother, but Gi-hun feels he can't be of any help. When Gi-hun arrives home, he receives another invitation to return to the games. In the end, the majority of players decide to return to the games. They wait on the street at midnight to be picked up by the vans, with Junho secretly following them to uncover the truth about the games. Next, we move on to episode 3. The episode begins with the vans carrying the players who chose to continue the game. The ship finally arrives at the island. The workers start changing the players' clothes. Se-byuk, pretending to be unconscious, secretly slips a knife into a worker's pocket and then takes it back out. The players then wake up in the familiar lobby. Player 001, who's still with Gi-hun, mentions how almost everyone returned. They talk, and soon Sang-woo and Ali join them. They all decide to team up and discuss what the next game might be. That night, player 212, Han Min-yo, and Se-byuk head to the bathroom. Se-byuk sneaks into the vents and finds workers cooking something, while Min-yo distracts a soldier outside. The next day, Se-byuk tells Min-yo that the workers were melting sugar. The next game takes place in a room that looks like a playground. There are 4 doors with different shapes: a circle, a star, a triangle, and an umbrella. Each player must pick a shape and stand in line in front of the corresponding door. Player 111, Byung-gi, already knows what the next game will be because he received a note hidden in his breakfast bun. Gi-hun and his group decide to pick a shape on their own. The players collect their candies from the workers, and Byung-gi gets a triangle candy. Player 001, player 212, and Deok-soo gets star-shaped candies. Ali gets a circle candy, and player 067 follows Sang-woo's choice, getting a triangle. Gi-hun, unfortunately, gets the hardest candy shape, the umbrella. When the announcer reveals that the next game is Sugar Honeycombs, Gi-hun is horrified. The announcer goes over the game's rules, and the players start to carefully cut their shapes out of the dalgona, a honeycomb candy. After a minute or two, Park Ju-won accidentally breaks his umbrella candy and is immediately eliminated. The blood left behind as his body slides down the slide serves as a warning to the others. The players become even more nervous, and many others accidentally break their shapes and are eliminated as well. Gi-hun watches in fear. Meanwhile, Min-yo secretly cheats by using a lighter she stole to heat her needle, making it easier to cut her shape. She notices Deok-soo frantically trying to carve his shape without breaking it. With just over 5 minutes left, Byung-gi successfully cuts his triangle and passes. Sae-byuk manages to carve her triangle, and Ali completes his circle. They all move on to the dormitory. As time passes, more players finish their candies and return to the dormitory. Gi-hun struggles to stay calm and keeps working on his umbrella candy. Sweat drips onto it, causing some of it to melt. He gets an idea and licks the back of his candy, hoping that it will make it easier to cut the shape out without breaking it. Minyo skillfully cuts her star-shaped candy without any issues, and even mocks the guards by eating it whole. Joksu watches the others and copies. Gi-hun's technique becomes the trick to pass the game, and the others follow his lead. The guards in the control room notice the players using the same method and watch in confusion. Deoksu also finishes his candy with the lighter Minyo gave him. With less than a minute left, Gi-hun, Deoksu, and the others manage to finish their candies and move on to the next round. Back in the playground, one of the soldiers forces No Sang-hun to show his dalgona. His umbrella is badly cracked, and as the soldier gets ready to eliminate him, Sang-hun fights back. He manages to stab the soldier in the eye with the needle, steal his gun, and take a manager hostage. Sang-hun shouts that the game is unfair, saying that the players who chose easy shapes have it easier than those who picked hard ones. The front man arrives, and the soldiers use their guns to eliminate the players who didn't finish in time. Gi-hun and the other survivors hear the gunshots as they head to the lobby. Sang-hun orders the manager to remove his mask. He's shocked to find out that the manager is a young man. Sang-hun is confused about how someone so young could be in charge. After the manager is executed, Sang-hun, overwhelmed by everything, takes his own life. Meanwhile, Jun-ho and the workers begin cleaning up the bodies. Jun-ho notices the dead manager's mask on the ground and takes it, planning to use it later.